Hello everyone. So on today's webinar we're going to be going over how to create healthy boundaries and what I would recommend to do to maintain healthy energy levels if you feel like you're constantly saying yes to social occasions, you're constantly not having enough energy to fit everything within the day and what you want to achieve, is basically how to achieve that with creating healthy boundaries and maintaining healthy energy to maintain a good and continuous routine. So, a great quote that I like is, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So, making sure that we're clear in our expectations to people to understand where you're coming from is going to be very, very important. And often people will get confused and often will be non-understanding when they don't understand the situation. So a great way of making sure we maintain healthy boundaries and healthy to make sure that we communicate towards your partner, to your family members, to your friends, is to make sure that we're communicating and making sure that we're being clear and making sure that we are expressing it in a way that it doesn't have to be negative, it doesn't have to be said in an angry manner. It's just making sure that we're being clear and concise and establishing healthy boundaries in a way that it's going to be easy for people to understand is making sure that they understand the situation that you're in, and that can only be done by effective communication. Let's see if I can move myself. Oh, hang on. Sorry. So, making sure that we have healthy boundaries for emotional energy, time, personal space, morals and ethics, material possessions, finances, and social media. Having those in place often is a way of communicating your boundaries of what you want, and that people will respect the fact that you are being resilient and having a solid set of boundaries of what you want within your day-to-day life. And that can be anyone that you communicate, as long as you're communicating in an effective manner. It doesn't have to be an aggressive manner. It's just making sure that you understand the people that you are communicating with understand that if you don't like something, you can communicate that in a way that you don't want to participate or you don't want to do it. So it's simply setting those communications in place to make sure that we are not being emotionally drained, we're not wasting time on doing things to make other people feel happy, making sure that we have your own personal space and obviously the other ones that are included. As I just said, I'm going to reiterate the point. Family members often, like I said, going back to the first point, communication, being clear, making sure that you're reminding them why this is important to you, reminding yourself why this is important. And it's quite a good point, quite a good time to be effective with actually, if you are saying these things consistently to people, it's actually a reminder to yourself, and it's like affirmations of why you're doing it. So what I mean by that is, I'm doing this because, and whatever you've reasoned that you've started this journey, which I would have asked, is because I want to feel better, or I want to feel more confident in my clothes. And that why can be your affirmation of why you're being concisely clear to someone, ongoing with the boundaries can be set with. And like it said, it doesn't have to be just family and friends or someone that you're in a relationship with. It can be co-workers, it can be strangers, it can be and these people, to make sure that you're making it blatantly clear that you are communicating and you will not sell yourself short, because you are wanting to achieve those things in the future. And like I said, like it says in below, it doesn't have to be overly aggressive. It doesn't have to be stated in a way that's you have to completely shut somebody off. It's just in a way that you are saying, these are the reasons why I don't want to. Or sometimes you can just say no, but sometimes if you want to go into a little bit more information, is explaining that in a way of being emotionally invested in what you're wanting to achieve. These are some examples that I really liked. So select signs of healthy boundaries, potential signs of unhealthy boundaries. This is not set in stone. It's not 100%, but it's just an example of what you could do to see what you could work with within your day-to-day life. So a good example is overcommitting yourself to time, leaving little time for yourself. Is often a sign of not having boundaries set in place. And setting limits, having a strong sense of direction and identity to who you are and what you want to achieve. These are very good and clear signs of having healthy boundaries within your day-to-day life. Okay, so with this slide, this is a great way of just communicating to yourself what boundaries could you potentially put in place, and what gives you energy, what doesn't give you energy, what do you feel is draining, what isn't draining, what makes you feel safe and supported and valued. Ask yourself those questions, and what is causing you unnecessary stress and discomfort which you could avoid in your day-to-day life. So it works either way. What works well for you in very simple terms. What doesn't work well for you? What are the reasons why you're doing that? Is it for a reason that you feel is not a healthy boundary that's not been set in place? And are you going to set that in place moving into the future? So this is a task that you could do. You don't have to do it. You don't have to write it down if you don't want to, but it could be an effective tool if you wish. A daily routine. What could you do with boundaries within your daily routine to make sure that that is established? The different examples of what you could do to establish healthy boundaries within day-to-day examples. I know some of them are difficult, but obviously clear communication is important. Setting boundaries within your day-to-day life is going to be important. And what's meaningful for you and what you wish to achieve and what you enjoy doing, and writing that down and making you feel safe and stress-free. It's important to have within your day-to-day lifestyle. And writing that down sometimes actually will put down an idea that you haven't maybe you've not thought about into great details, like for example hugs from your loved ones. If that's important to you, make sure that's written down, and making sure you're doing that is important. Because sometimes it gets neglected from being just too busy, or feel like you haven't got enough time because time's been consumed by doing stuff that you may not particularly should be doing because you don't want to be doing anymore. Potentially stress from work that you've worked over those hours and you're working overtime. But if you establish healthy boundaries, and that could be replacing something that could be more important in the long run. Just something to consider whilst you're noting stuff down if you wish. And then the opposite. Okay, another circle. What are the things in life that is is not a healthy boundary, that you should be saying no, or it's causing you pain and annoyance and emotional exhaustion. Can't speak today. Too long. Pain, annoyance, discomfort, exhaustion. Don't know why I can say that today. Making sure you're writing those down. We're putting those down. What could you be doing that could be potentially sucking the energy out of you? There's some examples. It's quite a good task. Just give you a little couple more seconds if you have a chance, and we'll go and move forward into the next slide. Remember, now that we've got those down, you've got set some new ones now that you can expand on that time that we've just gone. Remember, these boundaries are like an invisible fence keeping the dog out. So if you imagine you had a dog in the back garden, if that dog was trying to get out, dogs don't really understand boundaries. They don't understand. They'll try and escape. They'll try and overextend their ability to what they want to see. They don't understand boundaries. But you much like that, if you imagine that you had a mental boundary or an emotional boundary, if someone's trying to get out of that boundary or trying to push that limit of that boundary, much like a dog, you just got to remember, you have to train that person to not establish going over that boundary. That might take time, that might take repetition, that might take practice. But if you're going through a transitional period of establishing good, healthy boundaries, which is going to benefit you long term, they will eventually learn. So it's repetition, time, patience, effective communication. That's going to help with understanding boundaries in the long term. Like it says, kindly reminding them what you deem necessary for your happiness, for your productivity, for what you want to achieve within your life. Pro tip: avoiding shifting your boundaries for someone else's comfort. Really good one. So often people will often feel guilty and make you feel uncomfortable or awkward when you say no. But in the long term, that person will respect your decision because you're putting yourself first and your happiness first, and they're going to respect who you are for not giving in to what boundaries that have been set in place. Sometimes it's difficult, but you'll get people's respect for establishing healthy communication effectiveness in the long term. And that's it. So let me know if this helps. I think it's quite an in-depth topic this week, but I think a very important one. Have a great rest of the day. Let me know if this helps, if you want to have stuff on this in the future. A bit different, bit more psychology, mindset, rather than something that's a bit more objective and scientific this week. Let me know if you want more of these type of topics being brought up. If you want any more in particular, you can always drop me a message. I can go into a little bit more detail and go into an in-depth webinar / slide like this one. Have a great rest of the day. Hope you are well. I'll practice saying exhaustion, and I hope you all have a great weekend. If obviously it's the weekend when you get in this video, and I'll speak to you soon.